Hello, everyone. Welcome to weekly SIG Autoscaling meeting for Monday, the 7th of October, 2024. We have a few items on the agenda already. Rahul.
Yeah, I'll share my screen. Yeah. So basically, I was doing some stuff with the gRPC expander in Cluster Autoscaler, where I was trying to basically just filter out all the options so that we could purposely have Cluster Autoscaler like fail a scale up. But when I tried this, I ended up getting all the options back. And I know this specific log line, gRPC return nil best options, no options filtered. And when looking through the code, basically the client in cluster autoscaler makes the request. And then if there's an error, it returns all the original expansion options, which I think that makes sense. Like if a gRPC call fails, it should return the original options and not filter. But in the case where there's no error and you purposefully send no options back, it currently just unfilters everything, which is really unexpected for us. We would expect that if we return no options back, then cluster autoscaler should respect it. But the way it's implemented right now, it just does not respect that and returns everything. So in my PR, it's just like a very small little change. Rather than just returning the original options, I'm returning nil. So technically that is a breaking change. Like if someone's relying on this, it would break for them, but I'd argue that like rather than that, they should rely on the error part, because in other expanders, like the least waste expander, for example, um, like returning zero options is perfectly valid. And Cluster Autoscaler has code like in the scale up orchestrator to handle this case where it'll just fail to scale up. And this is what code path we're trying to trigger. So yeah, I proposed this change and I wanted to get feedback on it and a review.
So this makes sense to me. I had a look at the code earlier. I think, as you mentioned, it's a breaking change, so we should probably flag it as such, kind of very explicitly in release notes. But like otherwise, and probably we want to introduce it. It's starting with a new minor version rather than in a patch release of existing versions. But like otherwise, that seems quite reasonable. I wanted to give a chance because I've seen you just open the PR. I wanted to give a chance to the cloud provider owner. I think there is one owner listed in owner files to have a chance to speak before we just submit this. I don't know if he's active or not. So I'd wait for a few days and see if there are any comments, and if not, I'm happy to approve that if that makes sense.
Okay, sure. Who is the cloud provider owner? This would just be like a general thing.
There is I don't remember the handle off the top of my head, but if you look at the into the external gRPC directory, sorry, because this is not the cloud provider. Yeah, sorry, I got confused with the gRPC cloud provider. That's a good point. I don't think for Expander we have separate owners, so then I can just approve this.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sorry, I just got confused.
Yeah. So yeah, that was it for that. And then me and Ben wanted to just bump a couple PRs we've had pending for a few months now. But it's kind of related to the expander stuff where we're trying to give it more power, basically. So like the overall thing we're trying to do is like enforce maximum number of nodes per zone. And we're just trying to do that through the expander. So in this PR by Ben, basically we're trying to give the gRPC expander more knowledge about similar node groups. Since right now, like other expanders technically have the ability to use similar node groups, but this parameter just isn't passed along with the gRPC expander. So we're just adding that in so that expander just has more power with that. And then this very small PR, basically right now, the scale-up orchestrator will recompute similar node groups no matter what. And I just added in a flag to skip this because in our case, we want to modify the similar node groups, but cluster autoscaler is just overwriting our changes. So I'm just having a flag so it doesn't break anyone that's relying on it, but it'll work for us.
Okay, I'll take a look. That sort of is interesting discussion from perspective of role of or responsibility of expander versus node group set processor, which is where I'd normally expect to put stuff like this. But I guess we don't have the gRPC processor, so from that perspective, that makes sense. So yeah, I'll take a look. Just sort of a word of warning, which you probably know about this, but just wanted to mention that if you keep pending pods with aborting scale up in expander, that's just going to cause cluster autoscaler to recalculate this essentially loop after loop, and you can starve other pods in your cluster. Like if you have let's say 2 different node groups, right, and you're kind of purposefully aborting scale ups in one, and you have another one with, let's say, different node selector, you may have starvation issues. So this is kind of risk. I assume you know about this, and this is the behavior you want. Just wanted to kind of throw this out that this may be.
Yeah, we're aware of the risks. Like we just want more power to the expander, basically, because right now it's like very limited.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll approve the first PR. I've read it and I think it seems quite reasonable. And the other ones I need to read.
All right, thanks.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, just a heads up. I tagged the cloud provider owners last week, but I raised the issue after the call, so didn't mention it on the call last week. I'm in the process of about to cut 128 to 131 patch releases. So if there are any PRs you want to frantically get in, if you raise them sort of at some point today and tag me in, I'll make sure they get merged before I get around to actually building and publishing. Cool. That was all we had on the agenda at the moment. Is there anything else anyone wants to raise? And in terms of something that actually, just quickly, something that was raised last week, there was a Kubernetes review, and because of the patch releases, I've not had the chance to get around to that, but should do this week. Anything else anyone wants to raise this week? No? So, in that case, thank you very much for attending and see you next week.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.